Today, I learned a little bit about Python and, well, basically how I can use it in as pretty much a messenger. Last time we made a little bit of progress into developing pretty much a server. So we studied how Python can communicate with basically servers. And I said that, well, streaming services, not exactly streaming services, but a instant message service works kind of similar to that way. And well, this today we pretty much just do a messenger. So today we are going to be learning exactly a little bit more about Python and a little bit more about serving a server in Python. So let me show you exactly what I mean here. I have again, just as last time, I have two different codes. The one for the server, which was pretty much hosting everything, and the second one for the client, the person who is, well, connected to the server and wants to use its powers per se. And it's a very similar code. In fact, if you take, for example, here, the difference between this code and this code, you can see there is the biggest difference is in the middle low, about, well, after everything after the middle perhaps, but besides that it's pretty similar. So let me exactly show how it works. So I need to run both servers, so I'm going to do that. Sorry, both codes, the server and now the client, and now here I'm going to operate them. Now the server is ready here. It's telling me servidor pronto, or this servidor is ready. And here in client, I already connected, so it's waiting for a message. So let's just send a test one. I sent it. Now my servidor will receive it, and you can see it tells me exactly where it came from. That means the machine who sent it, the data I received, which is the message, and now I can type an answer. Let's, for example, say test confirmation, and now I will receive this as a client, and it will tell me if I want to exit, I press X. I don't want to, so I'm gonna just press enter, and then I can do everything again. So I forgot to confirm, and I can now close it, and I finish my code. And you can see it's very interesting because that's pretty much a message almost. If you have this connection, instead of being a localhost, because I'm doing pretty much a localhost service, I could, well, let's say I could connect with someone. Maybe, I don't know. Let's say I'm gonna connect with my cousin. Let's say I want to connect with my cousin, which is cities away from here. So, well, and I don't want to be just using WhatsApp or whatnot. Then okay, I'm going to, well, make a code first. So I would use my computer, for example, or I could use a second computer as the server, and I gave my cousin and me the client code, and I just have the mediator, or maybe I am also the server. So he just needs the client code and connection for it. Okay, that's a good example of what you could do. But now let's break down the code and explain, well, how it does. I mean, now we know that it connects two machines differently, but how it connects? Well, let's start from the server, shall we? And first off, I'm taking the code, or I've got a good portion of my code is coming from the socket import. So I'm taking it from the library socket, which is how I connect these two. So this is the first code pretty much in every single code that there is. Even in my last ones, even the client part, it needs to be imported on socket. And now I define some variables. Now these variables could be input. For example, let's say you have again a group of friends, because I think that's the best example pretty much. So you have a group of friends and you made an instant message for them, but you want to talk with someone, not always, or let's say you don't want to be a group connector, you just want to talk with for one friend, for example. So you could type out, you could be instead of servitor equals and then the number, it could be servitor equals input here, for example, input, and then you just type it out. Or maybe you could have again an archive where you would have your friend's information. You just press one or two or the name of the friend like Pedro, and then well you get his, you just enter. So it's a lot of ways you can connect with other codes from another from the other classes. But for now, it's just my local host here, my local host IP, which is this one, and I also defining a door. Here in Portuguese we call door, but it's pretty much a key. The key of pretty much almost a password to connect to my IP. Then I would create a variable here called object socket, and this object socket is defined as socket. And now I discovered last time I said I didn't exactly know, but pretty much this is the way it's connecting and the way it's interacting. It's creating the server, and here it's pretty much a protocol of how it will behave. So this is pretty much a very broad term. AF It's just like the type of server, and this is the way it will be run, and which is the protocol I choose. And you can see that it's actually different. Today it's a sock diagram, and last time diagram. Now last time was sock string. I believe that the difference is that the sock string, just like a string, will not go back to the something, or you just like you receive a message and you receive send a message. You can't like get in a loop, perhaps, but I'm not sure. I could test out exactly this. But let's go back to the server. Now here I have a very interesting thing. I am not just I define the object socket, but now I am defining that I'm binding some information to this object socket. This information is my server and my key. So those are two things I need to, after all, I need to connect somehow. I need to use the information somehow, and it's pretty much this. So I'm defining the object socket is binding the information from the server, that means the IP, and the key for this IP, which is here, the door or portal. And now I already have a print here. Now this print is telling the server setup ready. It's pretty much waiting now, or when it prints is actually not waiting. Interesting. The computer will run this almost instantly, but technically it runs this and then it enters into a state of waiting. And it says while true, and means pretty much forever. Since I'm not defining something, I'm not defining a variable here, so just repeating again and again and again. Data in origin equals, that means the data is in origin, which is a variable I create now. One benefit of Python is that you can create variables at spot. Well, let me explain. Pretty much in Python, and from what my father said, a difference for example, something like C sharp. You need in C sharp, for example, to meditated create your variables. For example, let's say I want to have a variable for the name, for the password, for 5 different things. I need to, in the start of the code, write down I need to create these variables. So I need to create and define a value. Even if the value is 0, the value is nothing. Doesn't matter. What matters is that it needs to be preemptively created. Now, this is the difference from Python, because Python, you can see I never ever mentioned the data here. I never mentioned here. I never mentioned here, but I can just, well, do it, and boom, I exist now. I just use it in a context, and the computer says, "Oh, it's a variable." Okay, and then it creates variable. So very interesting indeed. So very much I'm creating the variable and already using it. So data and origin equals to object socket dot receiving from, and this is the exact number from my. I think this is pretty much a code. This code represents the accessing user, and then I will print two things. When I receive, that means that when I receive my information from, you see, I receive from 65535, I will print origin, and this will take the person who did it. As you can see here in my server, it will print the person who did it. That means the person who sent the information, and the data I received, which is the information they sent. And you can see here, print data received and data dot decode. It needs to be decoded because it comes in a different way. It doesn't come like a string. It comes code. Well, it comes coded, but it also comes, um, if I remember correctly, cryptified. So it needs to decode very easily. It's not very hard process here from the for from a coding, not decoding. And now I define again a new variable, and I define that the variable equals to input, which is the input, type your answer. And now I will, after that, I will say that object.socket will send to will send my information. Pretty much here it means I send to resposta em code origin. A priming means that I taking object socket and I'm sending for them, and I'm setting a response, which is just the input I created. Then I encode it, which is what I needed, because I need to encode it, then decode it, and I will set it to origin. Again, the person who sent me the message in the first place, and then I will close it all. But I won't stop. Mind you, I will still be here. You can see that I just print server already once, in my twice. So I go back to the first part of the loop, waiting for a response. But this response comes from somewhere, which is my client. So let's explore the client's part of the code. Well, I first here again, I define that I'm taking everything from, or not exactly everything, but I'm taking the library socket for me. And again, I'm defining it's the server IP, which is here, and my key, which is here. And also they are the same key and IP. So very interesting indeed. Then I will define that the object equals socket. So my object equals socket, a AF socket diagram. Again, I'm pretty much saying that my object socket means socket, and then the specification, which is uses the net, and it is, well, programmed to pretty much behave. Again, it is behavior per se, uh, to behave like socket diagram. Right after that, I define that the object.socket shall be connected to my IP that I provided, which is the server and the key I provided. So actually, this information, even though I receive when I'm in the server, I receive from the same IP. That just is because it's my same IP. That pretty much here it is the local host IP, and I'm receiving from local host, which is me. because I sending a code to myself, but from another code. Uh, that's why it's the IP is the same. But if I had another IP, let's say for example, if I'm using a second computer, and then it wouldn't be more a local host unless I connect them both. But if they're just connected by the internet, then it won't be more local host. It depends how you set up. But well, you can see here that at least I have a different key that defines exactly who and I'm pretty much in the code. But the key here in the server is not for again for the server. Here in the server, I am using this information, so I pretty much telling that's your information. Here I'm telling the information that I need to connect to. So again, I need to connect to this IP and this key. And then I'm creating here. I'm definitely creating a variable which is the exit. Sometimes you need to create a variable, even though because for example, if you want to have a not set value in the start, so you need to do that. It just happens when you don't need to exactly have a definite value beforehand. And I just defined that this is empty space. Pretty much, that means nothing. That's pretty much what I say. It means nothing, my variable. And then I say that while my exit, and I put this exclamation mark because I think this is, I'm not sure exactly, but I pretty much confirm that from this exit mark, while exit, which is just the variable I created, equals x, then oh, I think I already know what it is. So pretty much while my exit value is x after this code, so it will run once before it is true. This thing is true. So it will run here. My message input, you can even see in the client, it will run too. Um, it will ask my message here, so it will define my variable message as the input. It asks to me my message, which here was test1 for example. Then it define that object socket needs to send my message encoded to the server here, the server and the door. Then I will create data and origin here again, which is pretty much the pack I will be receiving from. So pretty much I'm receiving now data here. So I define the metadata and origin comes from the object socket received from and 65535. That's pretty much, from what I know, it's the receiving number pretty much. Then it runs as print. So here my print, it says that I need to print a response to my server. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Here it's telling me the response I received from the server, which is, you can see in this case, data.decode, which is data. I received data from the server and I will decode because it came encoded. Then I will you can use this information here. I will now define the value of this variable exit as well my input of well my input in general, which it it's written here and I need to type x to exit. But if I don't press x, then it won't do nothing. It will mark this as untrue and go again until my variable is equal to x. And when it is, it just stops. I can see because that's the last information. Also, my code here for confirming if I want to stop or not also has an upper. That means every single time I take the input information from it, it's an upper, or that means it will automatically turn into a uppercase letters, which is good because that means you can place uppercase or lowercase and it won't matter. It just needs to be X. And well, that's incredible pretty much. You can do a lot of things with this code, and well, I find it very interesting. And if you do also find it interesting, don't forget to subscribe and also like this video. And it will help me out a ton. It will help you too because you won't need to search my channel again for a new notification. But you also need to turn on the bell. And also just that. But if you have any idea of, I don't know, practical uses for this, maybe a project that could be meshed together with the other things we learned, or just a Python to your programming enthusiasts in general, well, feel free to share your thoughts and your ideas in the comments down below. Not just that, but well, if you like the idea of learning Python, there's a lot of courses around there. So, and not just that, but I am pretty much not exactly creating a course because this is pretty much me learning together. But I'm learning from a very interesting course, and I try to made it make a way that it's easier for you to understand. Also, if you have any critique of my videos, also feel free to share in the comment down below or contact me privately, whatever you choose. But I think that's it for today. Um, and well, I believe that's it. Tomorrow we will see more about servidors, and my course is going to end. So they're probably going to be, I'm going to make my own thesis, let's say, as where I'm going to try to smash my knowledge altogether into a massive code, the biggest one, the biggest one I did. And well, that's pretty much it. Hope you like it, and I see you soon. Goodbye. Woo!